Many not in our town communities have spent years building civic relationships. They know who their allies are when a real threat or crisis confronts their town. A few years ago, the National Socialist Movement, the country's largest neo-Nazi group, started organizing in Olympia, Washington. They staged confrontational marches through city streets and disrupted meetings of local civic groups. A broad group of community members, called Unity in the Community, mobilized to respond to the state of siege they were feeling in their town. They were able to act quickly because of relationships that were built more than a decade earlier, after a hate crime murder.
People here probably read in the Olympian or may have been at the street fair, but the Nazis showed up downtown. Now that the National Socialist Movement is looking to organize in our community, we're acting now. We're not going to wait until there is a body.
We need to be talking about what happens next, and then make sure that people are trained in peacekeeping skills.
A lot of our interaction with them tends to be like this, and they thrive on that.
The confrontational aspect, I think it's detrimental, not so much for what it does to them, even though I think it's something to consider, but more what it does to us, because it really prevents us from thinking positively, constructively, and really creatively.
One of the hallmarks of the National Socialist Movement is that they have a propensity to go to communities to do very provocative things to try to cause riots. There are other groups that have worked on doing counter-demonstrations and directly engaging and confronting the Nazis. In Unity in the Community, we have chosen to focus on unifying people, not so much to be against something, but to be for diversity, and to try to tap the more positive elements of our community.
We really appreciate the time and attention that you're giving to this issue.
As the hate group activity increased in Olympia, Unity in the Community engaged local media in a citywide response.
This group is not appropriate to ignore. They pose a genuine threat to our youth, to our community well-being, and they pose a challenge to what free speech is. Free speech protects noxious speech, and the antidote to noxious speech is more and better speech. You truly are the voice of the community, so you have an incredibly important role to play.
We're going to cover the Nazis when they come here as we would any other news story, but at the same time on the editorial page, we're going to take a very activist role against their message.
This is the ad that ran. A number of organizations, government groups, and individuals took a position to tell the community that we stand united in the face of hate groups that seek to divide us. And the paper donated the ad space.
It's been very impressive. The business community, the nonprofits, the civic organizations have all joined together in this community to say that we don't believe in what you're trying to do here.
The National Socialist Movement announced plans for a rally on the steps of the state capitol. Unity in the Community decided to organize an event the day before the Nazi rally to celebrate Olympia's identity as a diverse community.
The Nazis are bringing a message of hate, and they seek to divide us. What's important for us is to celebrate our diversity, to celebrate our equality here in Olympia.
For evil to prevail, it is sufficient that the good people do nothing. Never again shall we keep quiet. Never again shall we keep silent.
In World War II, I learned what the Holocaust had done, not just to Jewish people, but to people everywhere. And I felt that it's very, very important to stop it before it starts again.
We won't close our doors on our neighbors. We will throw our doors wide open, stand together, and speak in unison.
There are groups that are going to respond in different ways on July 3rd, and that's okay. I mean, underlying all of it, we're just trying to make sure the bottom line that we're all in agreement on is that we work against the confrontation. We work against getting sucked into the provocation.
The best outcome would be for them to be up there all by themselves at the Capitol and their messages echoing hollowly off the wall of marble buildings and nobody listening. But I realized that that was not likely to happen. My role, I think, was to help the community response, not to dictate it, and to make it as constructive as possible.
On the day of the NSM rally, community members took part in a creative, nonviolent response.
We just hope to bring enough people, enough noise to drown out their message and give something more positive and constructive.
They made a mistake by coming to Olympia, and that it's not a place where they can have a way in. They can't get their foot in the door here.
Everybody pulled through. The newspaper pulled through. The governor's office pulled through. We really ended up with such broad-based support, and it just confirms every reason I have for living in this community.
Sometimes the worst threats bring out the best in people. There needs to be a strong, sure, steady voice that, no, that's not who we are. We're much stronger and much better than that.